The top-ranked baseball player in North Dakota has picked his home. You'll meet him. Plus, USD head coach Travis Johansen on a rematch with the Bison. Hot Mike starts now.
Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. I was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mike. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Wednesday morning. Welcome to the It's On edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV, good morning, everybody in Sioux Falls. KNBN in Rapid City. And Inforum.com. Happy Hump Day, everybody. It is a foggy start to your Wednesday morning, 24th day of September, final Wednesday of the month. We're getting out of here in style. 70 degrees and sunny coming up. It'll be out of here by the time Hot Mike is done. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Dom Izzo, host of said program, ready for a busy Wednesday. It's Bison Media Zone Day. Mike McFeely will join me coming up at 10:30. Get you ready for homecoming between South Dakota and North Dakota State. Missouri Valley Football Conference opener. Should be a dandy at the Dome coming up on Saturday. Looking forward to that. We'll have plenty of that, including South Dakota head football coach Travis Johansen will be with us this morning to give us his take on his team. Going through what USD lost, and we detailed it throughout, I think, pretty well during the winter and spring when Bob Nielsen decided to step down, and then the portal opened automatically then, and then you saw the rash of players that left. Maybe we didn't fully appreciate it at the time until now looking at it this morning. I'm like, holy Christmas, there are some dudes that left, and we'll detail that coming up on the show, and also when we talk with Coach Johansen later on. You will meet the number one baseball recruit in North Dakota out of Dickinson, who announced where he's going to play baseball next season. Impressive guy, had some dandy offers. Talent. Dickinson's a great baseball community, and you'll see exactly why he's a Division I player coming up later on in the show. But we got to start with last night's game at Target Center because the Lynx made history for all the wrong reasons last night. If you turn the game off at halftime, I don't blame you. It was a boat race. It was over. The Lynx were running the Mercury out of the gym. And then a funny thing happened in the second half. First half, dynamite because they couldn't miss between Nafisa Collier, Courtney Williams, Kayla McBride. Assisted or scored on 43 of the Lynx' 48 points in the first half. Collier had 17. But we go to the fourth quarter. The Mercury woke up. The Mercury were rising. Forgive the pun. Alyssa Thomas to Dewana Bonner for the layup. It's now a 7-point game. Next position. Satu Sabali, she's really good, knocks down a 3. Now it's a 4-point game. Lynx get a bucket. It's now a 6-point lead. That basket there from Sammy Whitcomb cuts it to 4. Off another turnover in transition and 1 for Sabali. We're tied at 70. It's 77-72 now. The Lynx back in front. That's a great block from Collier down low. I was watching this live. Phoenix gets a couple of free throws, cuts it to a 3-point lead. Now they got a chance. Another 3. It gets that basket is going to be for 2 from Whitcomb. But you can't leave her open. That one, no, they didn't foul for some reason. Whitcomb gets another 3-point chance. She drills it and ties the game at 79. So we're going to overtime. 2 seconds left here. Chance off the mark from Collier. Now we go to OT. And in OT, the Mercury dominated. That shot drilled from the foul line. to put the Mercury up by 2. This bucket was the dagger, the corner 3 to put them up from Kalea Cooper. And the Mercury, down 20, come back and beat Minnesota. 89-83 in overtime, the final. What a stunning comeback after a dominant first half from Minnesota. I mean, they couldn't have played any better. There was rumor out there that Collier might have gotten hurt. The third largest comeback in WNBA playoff history goes to Phoenix last night. The Mercury win at 89-83 the final. So the series is now tied at a game apiece, with the next two coming to Phoenix. Game 3 will be on Friday night. They have stolen home court here because the next two are out in Phoenix. Game 3 will be on Friday. Game 4 will be on Sunday. Meanwhile, Las Vegas routed Indiana last night. The Aces got their act together and won by 22 over Indiana. So that series is tied at a game apiece, with that series shifting to Indiana. Just a different feel there, because when the road team gets the first, especially in a best-of-5 series, it just changes everything. But if the road team gets game 2, like it happened in the Lynx series, now you feel just differently, because you know, okay, we got to go on the road and we're going to have to win. We have to win one, or the series is done, just to get it back to Minneapolis for a deciding game 5. Just a stunning turn of events in the game last night, because if you're turning the game off at halftime, the Lynx had 48 first half points. They're absolutely rolling, up by 16, and just couldn't make a shot. Dejanay Carrington being out is a big deal as well. She's out with injury. Doesn't look like she's coming back, who, of course, they acquired late in the season, out with a foot injury, and her departure is a big deal for the Lynx. So we'll see what happens with game number 3 coming up Friday night out in Phoenix. That will be the late game for that game, because the Aces and the Fever will play the early tip coming up on Friday night. So that'll be a 6:30 start for the Fever and the Aces. The Lynx will play at 8:30 on Friday. All right, so that was the basketball. Baseball last night. Congratulations to the Twins. They eliminated the Texas Rangers last night. The Twins have long been eliminated, but a win last night by Minnesota knocked out Texas from the American League wildcard race. So we just got one team shorter on that. But again, the two races we're keeping an eye on in the American League Central race, because we never thought that was over. I said it too many times in June and July when the Tigers are playing so well. Well, as you wake up this morning, they're tied. And the other race is the National League final wildcard spot. 3 teams fighting for one. Let's start, though, in the AL Central last night. Detroit and Cleveland. Again, the Tigers led the division by 15.5 games at one point. This inning totally typifies what has gone on with the Guardians. I don't know what Tarek Skubal is doing here. Literally between the legs, throws the ball away, and the Guardians have life. You don't want to give Jose Ramirez a chance, but this ball doesn't even leave the infield. It allows a run to come in to score. Stephen Kwan comes in, and it's 2-1. Scary play here. You can avert your eyes if you want. Skubal hits David Fry right in the face, and you can see how Skubal was affected. Fry was just trying to square around a bunt. It got him flush in the face. Had to leave the game. And I don't know if you can underestimate how much that affected Skubal, because the next batter throws a wild pitch. That's going to allow a run to score. The game is tied, and the Guardians haven't hit the ball out of the infield yet. Next batter up here with a chance now to give the Guardians the lead. Base hit finally. Gabriel Arias delivers for Cleveland to score a couple runs. That makes it a 5-2 Cleveland lead. They beat the Tigers and are now tied for the AL Central lead. Meanwhile, in the National League, the Mets and the Cubs played last night. Chicago couldn't have looked any better. Jeff McNeil goes to the Dom Izzo School of Infielding. 2 errors in one inning. The Cubs are running. That throw is not even close. I turned the game off. I'm not going to lie to you. It was 6-1. Brandon Nimmo, though, against Taylor Rogers. Why can't the Twins find pitchers like him? A 3-run home run, and the game is tied at 6. Can't say I woke up my son here. I did on this one. Francisco Alvarez in the top of the 8th inning. The game tied at 7 with a 2-run home run, and the Mets go in front 9-7 at that point. Yeah, the Jackman woke up because I was cheering loudly at that point. Edwin Diaz comes in. He struck out the side in the 8th. He was dominant in the 9th inning. 5 strikeouts in 6 at-bats. Dansby Swanson, the final out of the game. The Metropolitans come back, and because the Pirates helped us out, they beat the Reds last night 9-7. So, here are the updated standings in the National League as you wake up this morning. The Mets now are 1 game ahead of Cincinnati, 1 game ahead of Arizona with 5 to go. I cannot believe that the Pirates beat the Reds last night. Was not counting on that to go down. You see Milwaukee with a 2-game lead in the loss column on Philadelphia for the overall top spot. The Dodgers leading the National League West with a 2-game lead on the Padres with 5 to go. It's not over, but it almost is there. Cubs are locked into the top wild card spot unless they completely fade, and the Mets keep beating them with the Padres in. So 5 of the 6 spots are claimed in the National League. In the American League, suddenly the AL East is up for grabs because the Blue Jays, as you see there, have just a 1-game lead on the Yankees in the loss column. We thought Toronto was lock, stock, and barrel there. Not over yet. Congratulations to the Mariners. They clinched a playoff spot last night with their win over Colorado. The Mariners are in. They're almost dormy, we'll use that term since the Ryder Cup is coming up this week, for the AL West title. And now look at that. The Guardians, by virtue of the tiebreaker, now lead the Tigers. The Tigers could miss the playoffs here. They could go from 15.5 up in the division to miss the playoffs because the Astros are just a game back. With the Red Sox there, everything has completely changed. Completely changed in the American League playoff picture because of what happened last night. Unbelievable. Plenty is going to be written about the Mets, especially if they miss it with a $340 million payroll, and that's fine. But if the Tigers miss after being up, that's one of the greatest collapses we've ever seen in baseball history. Unbelievable what's gone down there in Detroit. And we'll keep our eyes on that in the American League Central with now 5 games to go in the regular season. Also yesterday, out of the baseball front, they got to get some attention going on. They announced, apparently they watched the show religiously, we appreciate that the ABS system, the robot umpires, are coming full-time to baseball beginning next season. Now, they used the ABS system this past spring training. If you missed it, you can see the video of it here where if the batter or pitcher disagrees with it, they can tap their helmet and automatically get a review on a ball or strike. And much like if you watch tennis, they have the Hawkeye system that comes in, and this is what's shown. And you can clearly see that's a ball and will overturn the call. This has been happening in the minor leagues for each of the last couple of years. Again, it is up to out of the pit, and that's the pitcher there. You can see requesting for review on a pitch there. And again, goes to the review. They show it, and it's either upheld or overturned. Now, each team is going to get 2 challenges per game. The pitch will be shown on the in-stadium video boards. And if it's upheld, the teams will retain the challenge. Now, apparently, according to the review, there were 23 teams that were in favor. 7 were not. You can see if it's in that square, it's going to be called a strike. This is from ESPN.com story. The ABS system uses similar technology to the line calling system in tennis. That's the Hawkeye system I was referring to. With 12 cameras in each ballpark tracking the ball with a margin of error around 1/6 of an inch. That's pretty darn close. The ABS zone will be a two-dimensional plane in the middle of the plate that spans its full width. The zone's top will be 53.5% of a player's height and the bottom 27%. Teams that run out of challenges over the first 9 innings will be granted an extra challenge in the 10th, while those that still have unused challenges will simply carry them over into extra innings. If a team runs out of challenges in the 10th, it'll automatically receive another in the 11th, a rule that extends for every extra inning. During the league's spring training test this season, teams combined to average around 4 challenges per game and succeeded about half the time, 52%. That's according to Major League Baseball. So the minors have been doing this since 2021. AAA players in 2023 used it. If you've been to a Saints game or any AAA game, I've gone to one in Syracuse back home. The Mets are the AAA affiliate in Syracuse for the big league team, and it's fantastic. It will be revolutionary next year. I'm telling you right now, we're going to see this, and we're going to be wondering why. Why do we wait so long? And people are going to tell me, well, what about the human element of it? Okay, great. But if they're missing and they have blatant balls and strikes that are determining outcomes of games, outcomes of pennants, outcomes of division titles, we can't have that. Saw that happen a couple nights ago where a call that was blatantly not a strike was called one. George Springer last night, if you were watching the Toronto game, I don't know, plenty of people are clued into Boston-Toronto, but Springer hit a ball that he thought it was fair, which they can't review. It was a double down the line. It was overturned, or it was called foul. He thought it was fair. Anyway, the next pitch, he's called out on strikes, but it was clearly a ball, and end of the inning. Any Toronto's threat to put a rally together. That's what we're talking about. Adding the robot umps is likely to cut down on ejections as well, according to ESPN.com. Major League Baseball said 62% of ejections among players, managers, and coaches last year were related to balls and strikes. That's what everybody gets upset about. You don't see people really getting upset about calls out at the plate or calls out at second base. What you see them getting upset about are that's not a strike. The figures include ejections from derogatory comments, throwing equipment while protesting calls, inappropriate conduct. Big league umpires call roughly 94% of pitches correctly. That's according to ump scoreboards. That's great. Can we do better than that? And that's why I think the robot umps are coming. It's a good deal. I'm telling you now. And it's not going to make the game go longer. I don't believe any of that baloney. I really don't. We'll talk more about that as the show rolls on. We got a packed show coming up here on this Wednesday morning. Our guest lineup is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Drew Trafton will be here in just a few minutes. You can celebrate his Mariners are going back to the postseason. They could win a division title for the first time in 24 years. We'll discuss that and the biggie for the Little Brown Stein this weekend, Idaho and Montana. We'll preview that coming up in just a few minutes. At 9:35, you'll meet Dickinson's Kyler Kudrna will join us. He announced last week his commitment to play baseball at North Dakota State, the number 1 ranked player in the state of North Dakota. The Bison have got 2 dandies here. One on Dickinson, one on West Fargo. You met Hudson Dinger earlier this summer. That's coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, USD head football coach Travis Johansen will join us to preview the Coyotes coming to Fargo, going for a 3rd straight win against the Bison. That's coming up at 10. Again, our Bison Media Zone show live this morning at 10:30 here as well. So that's our show lineup here on a busy Wednesday. We're just getting started. Hot Mike back after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inform.com.
The biggest Seahawks, Sounders, and Mariners fan in the FM area. It's time for Views with Drew.
Oh, we got an email right off the hop. This is for Drew.
Yeah.
The drought ends for our Mariners this week. This is from Dave in Minot, who loves watching our show. The magic number is 1.
1. It's a good
We got
day.
the video to celebrate because I watched the Sunday night game because the football game made my eyes bleed between the Chiefs and the Giants. And I knew the Mariners were playing the Astros.
Huge game.
Brody, you can roll it. The Mariners, Cal Raleigh goes and does what he does, and they beat Houston on Sunday.
Yeah, J.P. Crawford with a grand slam.
Monster game there on the final Sunday night baseball game on ESPN. And then last night they take care of Colorado, and celebration was going.
They were down 3-1 in the bottom of the 8th. And then Josh Naylor hits a base clearing.
This is
double.
the Raleigh homer from Sunday,
Yeah,
and that had to feel pretty
58.
sweet for you. They're doing against the Astros.
Yeah, well, and they've been just the boogeyman for the Mariners, for years and years and years. You have this super solid pitching rotation, never have enough offense.
Here's the home run you're talking about, or the big hit from Naylor last night.
That 2022 playoff run where they had the Astros in that first game of the series, and then, just a monumental collapse at the end of that game. And so it's always felt like the Astros were their big roadblock.
The team I'm pulling for in the American League is Seattle, just because of that was an awesome moment too at the end of the game last night. That's really cool.
Scooter, yeah.
The fan base there loves their team. They always have.
Yes.
They've always been supportive of them. We talked about all the unbelievable players last week on the show that they've had, but they've been snake bit. Either the Ichiro team in 2001.
Yeah.
I mean, they were fabulous that year.
116 wins.
You saw in the graphic, they have not won a division title since that team.
No, yeah. And it
can
feels
end tonight.
So surreal that their magic number is 1 and they control their own
Are
destiny.
they going to celebrate just as much tonight if they win as they did the last night?
That's what they said. Like in the locker room, they said, we might have a few more of these because then their magic number for the bye is 2.
Yep.
So they yeah, I mean, it's surreal. Like, I don't even know how to process it at this point because an AL West title feels so out of the realm of possibility. After 24 years, you just kind of think it can't happen. And it's just great.
And I was talking about this yesterday and last week. When you get to this point of the baseball, if your team's in it, it's fabulous. This is the best week of the year. Last night was pretty cool. It was I went through the wave from emotions. Devastation because the Cubs were down 6-1. Like they're going to miss the playoffs. They spent $340 million, and then they rallied and won. And now I'm like, we're in.
Yeah, we can do this.
And I'm going to go through it again tonight. And I can't wait for it. That's the best part about being a fan of a team that's in like this.
The thing I've heard about the playoffs, since I don't have a lot of experience as an adult, but I do remember this as a teenager very vividly. And then a few years back, you look forward to it so much until the first pitch of the game. And then it's 3 hours of absolute torture. And then the second it's over, you're looking forward to the next one. Just and it's just like that.
Exactly right.
But that's great. And that's a fun place to be. And I'm really looking forward to this postseason.
So we can throw up the graphic here of the updated standings in the American League because we went through this in the first segment, how volatile it changed just last night because of what Seattle did, what the Yankees did, and then what the Guardians did. So everything we thought we knew of matchups is completely
it's out the
thrown
window.
out the window now because, honestly, the Mariners aren't out of the hunt for the number 1 overall seed on this. Now, they've got the Dodgers as the final 3 of the regular season.
I think from their perspective, if they can sew up that bye before the Dodgers come to town, so if they win the next 2 games,
which is the Rockies, who are horrendous,
then you look at that series as, you just rest guys, I think, and then you take the bye rest as well. And so I don't know how competitive they'll be against the Dodgers team that's now, kind of looking like we need to fight for positioning. And so Can we bring up the American League again? Sorry, guys. I just wanted to go through that here with Drew just for matchup-wise. So as it stands now, the Guardians and Tigers would play in the first round. Yeah. But the Astros aren't out of this yet either. No. Texas got officially eliminated last night because of the Twins' victory over Texas, so they're out. So I love the idea, though. That? Yeah, from a Mariners fan's perspective, I love the two seed because you get the winner of 3-6 in the divisional series, and that seems like a good place to be. Even though Toronto's now struggling all of a sudden a little bit, the Yankees can end up being the number 1 too as well. It's there's so much up in the air still, which is pretty fabulous. All right, Little Brown Stein weekend here. Yes, prime time Saturday night, 9:15 kickoff. Well, it's prime time Missoula time. It's late night for us in Fargo with Idaho and Montana 9:15 on Saturday night. You going to make the end of this? I think so, but there's going to be a nap required Saturday afternoon, I think, to pull this one off because that Idaho could be 4-0.
Idaho really
very
should
easily
be
they could
4-0. They lost at a late field goal to Washington State, and they lost even later to San Jose State.
Yeah.
So their 2 losses are to FBS teams.
And they've been playing really stout defense. I mean, in those
just
all
not what
season
X
long,
team did not do the last couple of years.
They're only giving up like 20 points a game, which I know in Missouri Valley Football Conference standards not great, but for Big Sky teams, that's that's stout defense, and that worries me a lot. Heading into this game. Although
Grizz seemed like they got their mojo after whatever happened in the fourth quarter against UND.
That's
flipped it because they rolled. I mean, Indiana State's not good.
Yeah, and that's what you're supposed to do, though.
But you
right?
did.
I mean, if you are truly a top 5 team, you beat the bottom dwellers of even really good conferences like the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Like, you need to beat those teams, and so that and beat them like that. I like Montana's chances in this game. I'm optimistic just because it's at home, and that's going to make a huge difference. But I love the way Idaho's playing, and so it's so hard to argue against. It's like, man, they're a good team, and I think the Grizzlies, in order to be considered a contender this year, for that level of optimism goes up. They not only have to win it, I think they have to win it far more convincingly than they did against UND. I think we've got to talk about a 10-point win or something like that to really feel like, okay, the Grizzlies are in that top 4 or 5 discussion.
I will say this though: if you have that win against UND, which right now on September 24th looks really good.
Yeah, and
I don't know how it's going to look.
Right, I think it'll look
so
better
too
as the season progresses.
But we don't know yet.
Right.
Let's say on November 7th maybe it doesn't look as good, but on September 24th looks really good. And then you get the Idaho win.
Yeah.
You're already thinking at worst the Grizz are going to be a top 8 seed.
Right. And you all of a sudden you have the potential to look at it and go, they could end up as a top 2 if the ball bounces right against Montana State and they take care of business the rest of the schedule.
And nobody comes up and surprises them.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like the way Tarleton's playing right now, like they certainly have a very convincing argument for 2. I think but I mean, you're looking at a top 3 seed if you then can
see
run
Sacramento,
the table.
Sac State on the road.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. Very tough.
We'll see. They go to Weber, which has always been an interesting place for the Grizz to play.
It's been a hard place for them. Yeah,
but Weber's not as good. And then it's the end of the year. And then it's the Brawl of the Wild game. That's it. Those are the 3 potential trip-ups. And I don't know. I say 1.5. I'm not sold on Sac State, as you know.
Yeah. And I never experienced as a student going there the Idaho rivalry because they were FBS at the time.
Right.
But from what I understand and from what I've just seen with my own eyes,
leaderboard.
This rivalry is now kind of obviously nothing touches the Brawl. Like that's in its own echelon. But it used to be when I was in school, it was Eastern Washington.
Correct. I was going to say to you that this has replaced Eastern Washington, I would think, right?
Yeah. And having the Little Brown Stein back and it being a trophy game, like this definitely matters.
Have you ever seen it?
I have seen it. Yes, I have. Yeah, because they
How little is it?
It's not very little. If you were to fill it up with beer, you'd be feeling pretty good. You'd be feeling like I would if the Mariners won the World Series, probably.
I did not see that in the trophy case when I've been to Missoula. So
they have it there.
Okay, I've not looked at it. Then.
Yeah, it's
I've
pretty
seen
cool.
a few of the cool things they have out there.
I would to be clear, I wouldn't ever drink anything out of it. It's got a lacquer on it.
Okay,
and stuff. Like I don't want to touch those chemicals.
Full discretionary advice there.
Please.
What are we thinking finish time of this? It's 9:15 supposed to start.
My gosh.
So 12:45 Central?
Yeah, it's probably.
With TV timeouts?
Awful. Yeah, like
at least 12:45.
Yeah, I don't
know if I'm going to see the end of it now as I'm thinking it.
My son, who's like 3 on the cusp of 4, is like on this kick of waking up at like 5:45 in the morning, like no matter what. So this is not going to be good.
Yeah. It's going to be a tough night. But it should be a fun game. Looking forward to that. Because when we saw the schedule come out, we thought this game and the Bison USD game, like, holy cow.
What a weekend. Yeah, totally.
And it doesn't mean that the game here in Fargo won't be as good. I'm convinced USD will play the Bison tough. I really think that. Just, it's them. I think we're going to have there's 3 things that could happen here. Bison roll them. Mm-hmm. They win a close one, or USD wins the game.
Yeah,
I think those are the 3 possibilities.
The last couple of years, we've seen like some just
dynamite games,
out of that game, and I hope and it seemed like USD kind of had a get right game last weekend a little bit,
and it's Drake. So again, I don't know how much I want to
right.
Go crazy on that.
Like losing Charles Pierre and then finding a viable. Like they're like, from the USD fans I know, they were very uncertain about the running game moving forward, and I think they were able to like have they have some optimism now that they can take that step forward.
And then you've got rivalry game tomorrow night, Seattle, Arizona. So you could have everything. Mariners could clinch the bye. The Seahawks play on Thursday Night Football, and then the Grizz Saturday night. Man, that is quite the lineup for you, man.
If things go like it'll either be the best of times or the worst of times.
That's what a fan is. That is right.
Yeah, you live and die.
The best part about
but it just feels like like that Seinfeld scene where like George Costanza's explaining why he doesn't believe in God, or like he's it's like God like can't let me be happy.
Yeah, can't be happy.
And like the lady is like, I thought you didn't believe in God. He's like,
I do for the bad things.
Only for the bad things. It's like this. Like I can't be a happy sports fan. Right. I cannot be a happy sports fan. And so it's like this feels so off.
Well, like
off-putting.
This is a Jets fan line, but on Sunday, within like 3 minutes of one another, right? The Mets lost to the Nationals, and then the Jets up.
Yes.
Tampa rallies, kicks a field goal. Like within like 3 minutes, like I can't.
You can't win.
Can't do that, man. Yeah. I'm 46 years old. I can't do the emotional thing anymore, the roller coaster of this. 20 years ago, I could handle it. Now, no.
Yeah.
No.
It's wild.
Thankfully, I saw my son like coloring, like, yeah, that's good.
That's perspective, right?
That'll take my mind off of whatever just happened.
That's good perspective.
Because I was ready. If 20 years ago, I would have went out like on the balcony, screamed to the heavens. Can't do that anymore. You need to have that. Great to see you, bud. Congratulations and enjoy the next couple days, all right?
Thank you.
Our guy, Drew Trafton, might be tipping over cars in Moorhead tonight. Keep your eyes on that if the Mariners are able to win. We'll break. We come back. You'll meet one of the top baseball players in the state of North Dakota out of Dickinson. Made up his mind. He's committed to the Bison. That's coming up. We come back on Hot Mic right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Wednesday morning show off and rolling. Travis Johansen, USD head football coach, will join us in about a half hour. Get ready for the Coyotes matchup with the Bison. We're talking plenty of baseball here on the show so far with the final week of the regular season. North Dakota State baseball making some headlines recruiting-wise. We introduced you to Hudson Dinger this summer, West Fargo Cheyenne standout who verbally committed to NDSU and Tyler Oaks. They got another out of the state. Dickinson is a great baseball city, and the Bison have tapped into that for its latest verbal commitment. Kudrna announced his commitment late last week, and he joins us this morning on the show. First off, we were joking off air. How many times have you heard your name pronounced differently? Can you have a guess on that?
I would say like every day that somebody like every day probably. no matter where I go, it's just. Yeah.
Well, as a play-by-play guy, it's my job to make sure we get it right. So we efforted that, make sure we did that. So congrats. I want to start just with Dickinson baseball. How proud of a city is it with its baseball? You've grown up with it. Tell me about that and why baseball's so big there.
I mean, it used to be a really big thing. Like back a long time ago, like when you had like the Frenzels, like Cole Frenzel, he went to Arizona, got drafted by the Mets organization, and then. Yeah, it's just been strong ever since. We've had a strong program every year. I mean, usually we're like one of the top teams in the West every year. But the past few years we haven't been super good, but haven't made the state tournament. But I mean, it's just always solid numbers, and we always get a good turnout every year. And we work hard. I mean, we don't have like obviously West Fargo got that new $5 million facility. We just got a little tiny garage that has 2 cages and a mount in it. But I mean, it works, and it's what we got to do to put the work in.
When did Division I baseball become a reality for you?
Just kind of recently. I mean, just kind of going over all my options, and then I feel like I got a good chance at NDSU, and that's kind of what I'm looking for is to get that opportunity right away. Obviously, got to prove myself and stuff like that, but I just want the opportunity right away compared to you go like to a bigger school or something. You might just kind of get like Oaks told me like you might get pushed to the curb a little bit because they got these big guys that are coming in for them.
I'm looking at, tell me if this is accurate, 6'3", 180. Is that accurate? You're bigger than that now.
Yeah, just like right on that,
yeah. That's pretty good for pitcher. So was that always the position? Did you like another one, or was that I like to be the guy on the mound?
I do like pitching. I've pitched ever since like our Little League days, like 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds. And then I used to play shortstop back then, but then I got moved to outfield just because I'm good at tracking balls now and all that. So, like, in the high school and summer season, I play center field whenever I don't pitch, and then I usually bat second or third, and then Yeah, I still like hitting and playing outfield, but I think best chances on the mound.
We talked with Hudson about this, Kyler, about getting your name out there. It's easier now with video and social media, but I'm assuming you've had to travel quite a bit. Can you describe that of the journey of the last couple of years of getting your name known to college scouts?
Yeah, so like I said, last fall I did Dakota Selects, and that's like with Alex Sumner and all them. That's what kind of got me started. We went to tournament in Iowa, Kansas City, and then we actually went to like the prospect camp at NDSU, and that's how I first got in touch with NDSU. And yeah, and then I played with GRB North Star this past fall down in they're from Minnesota. We were just in Milwaukee. We just got back, flew there. They actually won the tournament, and then we were down in Iowa. So yeah, and then I was also invited to the Prep Baseball's Future Games down in Atlanta this past year. So that was a really cool experience. You got like I think it was like over 400 Division I scouts there, and it's just the best uncommitted kids in the country there. So really good competition, but I mean that's what you got to do these days to get your name out there.
So at an event like that, how nerve-wracking knowing you're basically out there trying to sell yourself for a few days?
Yeah, it was. I looked up and I just saw like, there's all the scouts back there sitting behind home plate, and you just gotta be yourself out there. You kind of gotta block that out, take a deep breath, and at that point you gotta be like perfect. I remember I threw one right down the middle and it got crushed for a double, but that was the only bad pitch I made. But you gotta live on the corners when you're playing some good competition.
So with that, how easy is that to shake off when the guy does that, knowing okay, well this guy's pretty good as well. There's a reason why he's here.
Yeah, I think you just gotta move on and just accept that it happened. You know, it's I pitched against Florida and Georgia, like they were combined, those two teams. I mean, that's like two of the best baseball states right there. So I didn't really expect it to go well, but it actually did go really well. And I mean, you just got to battle every pitch.
Take us through then when NDSU got interested and what that conversation was like.
Oh yeah, I did really well at the prospect camp, and you know he reached out to me, said he'd love to have me. Obviously 6'3", 180, that's a pretty projectable frame. That's what pretty much everyone tells me, and they said that's what they're looking forward to the most is getting me in the weight room and on a meal plan and buffing up a little bit. So I'm excited for that too, because I mean it's different when you get to college. They got set strength coaches for your set sport, and I got a chance to meet the strength coach that is with baseball, and I'm excited.
When you see their success as well, Kyler, obviously making the NCAA tournament, winning a game in the tournament, scaring the heck out of Arkansas, a couple other teams, Creighton as well. Does that do a big – I mean, are you paying attention to that, saying, all right, they've got some guys? And granted, the guys that went in the portal, that means they're recruiting some pretty good dudes as well.
Yeah, exactly. It was fun to watch those games. I was watching them online on ESPN, and yeah, it was just super fun to watch knowing that, I mean, that's the team from my state, and then – now that I'm going to get to play for them, I think it's going to be super cool. They obviously they play LSU the past few years.
Yeah.
They're going to, I think he said they're going to Vandy this year, and he likes to get his SEC school. So that's a really good thing. Like for development wise, like he said, he wants to get you in front of like the pro scouts because that's where a lot of them live, are like those big schools. So they give you the opportunity there, and that's what I look forward to the most.
Yeah, going down a chance to play those teams. I mean, have you thought about that crossing your mind? Like, all right, there's a chance I could pitch against Vanderbilt in the not too distant future.
It's crazy to think. Like, I always watch the game, or like I watch the highlights on YouTube sometimes or something. It's like, wow, I mean, I could be there one day.
Describe for us here. We haven't seen you pitch. What's your out pitch? What's your favorite thing to throw? How hard you throwing right now?
So usually like this summer I was like upper 80s, like 86, 88. I've hit 90 a few times, not like in game though, but my goal is to like consistently sit 90 next year. I think this off season is going to be really big for that. But I like my changeup. I got really good life on my changeup. It drops a lot. I throw a sinker as well, I got natural sink to my ball, so my fastball like tails in on batters. So
that sounds
it's really
nasty.
good. Really good pitch up in the zone to righties. So, and then curveball, slider. I like throwing them all. It's fun to do.
Is there one that you've developed lately or had to work on to say I got to add this? If I'm going to be a Division I pitcher, I got to add this.
Probably just refining my curveball a little bit more. I don't get like it gets a lot of movement, but like late movement. So I get a lot of swing and miss on it because it drops so late, and batters or hitters read it as like it's like a fastball, and it just drops down right at the end. So I made a few grip changes. I'm always working on grips with every single one of my pitches just to see how I can get it better and just be more efficient with it.
Sounds nasty to me, man. I don't want any part of trying to hit it. I can tell you that. Have you given up the hitting days now with going to Division One? Can you still do that? Have you had that conversation with Coach Oakes?
Well, I'm just gonna be a pitcher probably. Definitely got a best chance. Like I hit over I think it was right over 400 in high school ball in the spring. But I mean, that's high school. You're only seeing like 75, 80 miles an hour. So once you get to D1, you're seeing 90, 95 and all that. So it's tough, but I still go hit every day at our facility, or most days, just to, I mean, it's good to stay like in shape. It helps you, it helps us just stay athletic and stuff like that.
What has the last couple days been like after you made this announcement?
So yesterday I was at my volleyball game, our high school team's volleyball game. And on the way out, I couldn't get out. I got like the local news reporter asking me questions,
That's
and some parents that I know, and yeah, it's just super exciting that I get to share a story like that.
That's pretty cool. Have you had a chance to sit and just, okay, what I've been working for now is going to become reality here pretty soon?
Yeah, it's a big relief to just know that I know where I'm going. Don't got to worry about that recruiting stuff anymore. But yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to get on campus. And
I was talking with Hudson about this, Kyler, and I'll ask you as well because you live it. Why have we seen the upturn? I think the indoor facility is a big reason in North Dakota baseball. You live it. Why are the guys are so? I mean, Kason Borkart we had on last week is going to go play at Oregon. Why are we getting such good players now?
I think it's just. I mean, a lot of people underlook North Dakota sports in general, I think. And I think baseball is one of them. You got every team has, I think, in North Dakota has like one really good guy. And then, I mean, anybody can kind of peak out. I mean, like stand out, I guess you could say. Like you got to put the work in. It's a hardworking sport. And if you want to get to the next level, you got to work really hard. And I think North Dakota has a lot of those guys that want to go on and play at the next level.
Did you have a chance to go celebrate after your commitment or not yet?
A little bit. Just kind of been taking it easy, relaxing a little bit, but we'll see.
All right, I have to ask before I let you go. As a pitcher, yesterday the big news out of baseball is the robot umpires are coming full time. You on board with that? You like that idea or no?
I like it. So I was down in Omaha before, because our summer team went to Omaha for the like Creighton Prep tournament, but before my cousin was there. But yeah, it's super cool to like experience. Like it changes the game, but it also doesn't ruin it at the same time. Like people are saying, like it takes out like the like human aspect of it, but you only get 2 challenges, and like if you fail those 2 challenges, then like, you're out of it. So it's only like 2 pitches that could really affect a game, and you still have that human aspect of it. So I think it's good because I mean, based off this year, some umpires really missed a lot of calls. So I think it'll be a good thing. It'll be cool to experience.
You ever have one like that? Like, I can't believe you missed that.
Oh yeah. High school zones could be either this big or this big.
I really appreciate the time this morning. Congratulations. I hope you get to downtime here because I know you've been on the road quite a bit. Have a great year, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Thank you for having me.
Kyler Kudrna joining us out of Dickinson, North Dakota, committing to play baseball for the Bison for the class of 2026. You saw we have plenty of highlights of him from his Dickinson team, and it's a great baseball community out there. His cousin Ben is currently in AAA with Omaha. That's the Royals top team, so there's some pitching bloodlines in that family. We appreciate his time this morning. We'll take our final break of this first hour. Come back, we'll wrap it up. Travis Johansen right around the corner. Get us ready for the Coyotes and the Bison. Sun peeking out. Hot Mike returns on this Wednesday morning right after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour here. Travis Johansen coming up in just a few minutes. The Timberwolves just put this out on their Twitter feed. Anthony Edwards, for those on the podcast that are listening, in the old school Trees uniform. Now, full disclosure, this is not my favorite Wolves uniform. I understand the emotional attachment for a certain sector of Timberwolves fans that are in that mid-30s range when Kevin Garnett was unstoppable and the Wolves went to the Western Conference Finals in 2004, wearing those. And they wore them for another handful of years, but they got really bad. This is fine. but we're missing the mark here. 2 years ago, when the Wolves beat the Nuggets in Game 7 in Denver, what were they wearing? They were wearing their original look, the white, blue, and green. How hard is that just to do it? Just say we're going back to that. I know Kyle Brandt on SVP's show on Monday night was lamenting, or Sunday night show was lamenting on people on the internet claiming or wanting, like I was, where the Patriots were wearing their old school uniforms and the Buccaneers were on Sunday as well. That's not the best. That, the remember when is the lowest form of conversation, quoting the great Tony Soprano. And I do agree with that. But we can all agree that a certain look is better than another. And the Wolves, from 1989 to 1995, because KG wore them early in his career, that was their best jerseys. There's no doubt. Our guy Jeb upstairs, he's got a old school Wolves hoodie. It's fantastic with the right color. These are fine, but how hard is it to go to make those the permanent ones? I'm not sure why. We'll break. When we come back, Travis Johansen will join us, head football coach at South Dakota. The Coyotes get ready for their matchup with the Bison. We'll do that. We start hour 2 on a Wednesday morning edition of Hot Mike right after this.
This is Hot Mike.
Hot Mike.
On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 of Hot Mike, ready to rock and roll. Don't forget, Bison football back on WDAY this weekend. The Missouri Valley Conference opener. South Dakota's coming to town. Bison game day gets you started at 10 a.m. The game, remember, is an early start, 1 o'clock for homecoming, and then Bison postgame live. We'll wrap everything up on WDAY Plus afterwards. We are super pumped to have on the head football coach at the University of South Dakota, Travis Johansen, joins us. Coyotes coming in at 2-2 after a victory over Drake on Saturday. It's great to see you, bud. How do you evaluate this first 4 games? It's been a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, I mean, maybe externally it looks like that. For us, we knew that, we might have a hiccup along the way just with, an inexperienced group that we're growing and, with a bunch of leadership in the room, we continue to get things in the direction that we expect it to be. And, where we're at right now, we feel like is a long way from where we were when we started at, Iowa State a month or so ago. And, looking forward to, getting up to Fargo and seeing where we're at up there.
How much did the 2 wins, Travis, the Northern Colorado, especially how the Northern Colorado game ended, to have a victory like that just to get some positive mojo going your way?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we need to win football games, right? We can't continue to grow in the losing column at all. We're certainly not used to that in any capacity, but yeah, I mean, they were certainly, what was expected. I think our aspirations and expectations here haven't changed one bit. So that has to happen. But yeah, for the guys to say, yeah, we're on track, we're doing what what we know we've had to do all along, and starting to get the thing in that direction. Yeah, they're validating like all wins.
To have a game like last week as well, you're going into the Valley opener. Bison are coming off a bye. Is there some positives of that? Like, hey, we got some momentum. We don't want to take a week off. And I know we talked about this at Valley Media Day. You got to 12 of them in a row, but to have, you've got some momentum. Let's keep it going here this week.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time of the year, a bye for us would be great when health and rest. And I think a bye is always good headed into league play. But for us, we've known this is going to be the case all along, are certainly prepared for it. We prepared all winter and in fall camp, just in sports performance, and how we're getting our workload at the threshold it needs to be to sustain 12 weeks, and our bodies to sustain 12 weeks. And week 4 and 5 certainly isn't going to be where we wear down. We're looking forward to a bye at the end of the season and taking advantage of that.
You've been up here a couple times. Tell me about the challenge of coming up here and why you guys have had success. Obviously, winning a couple years ago. What is it that takes to come up to Fargo and win a football game?
Yeah, I mean it's a place, that's what makes the Missouri Valley special is, you go into every building and it's all got a little bit different feel and a little bit different energy. And the Fargo Dome obviously is a place that when it gets cranked up is a tough place for teams to operate. Luckily we've had experience up there and positive experience. You don't want that crowd to get too crazy. It can make your offense. You have to work through stuff they don't usually have to. But luckily we've had a little bit of success, and I think it's for us it's how you win every football game. It's not I think exclusive to the Fargo Dome how you win, but if you're not successful, you've got a lot of respect for that building and the people and the fan base and what they can do. And I think that's why obviously you see the record that it's been up there. And I think it's the same way a lot in the Dakota Dome and the same way at State. And the good teams have really strong records at home, and it's because of the environments, I think.
To have a quarterback going to play his third time regular season matchup with NDSU, fourth overall, what kind of comfortability is that with your quarterback knows full well the program that he's facing this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you've never been part of environments that can make you get into your silent cadences and all of those sort of things, you're going to have to communicate, a little bit differently. And having gone through that and been successful, certainly gives us confidence that that's a box we don't have to necessarily overcheck during the week. But it's one piece to the puzzle, right? Like, there's some offensive linemen that haven't been a part of that, and a couple of receivers that haven't been a part of that. So, we'll still focus on it, in our game week. But yeah, if the quarterback position, if you're not ready for it, it can certainly derail your psyche.
Tell me about Aiden's performance so far in 2025, Travis. What have you seen through the first 4 games?
Yeah, I've loved Aiden Bauman's performance. I think what people don't recognize a lot is, obviously you're going to judge a quarterback, just immediately go to the statistics and say, hey, how many completions to attempts? And that's not at all how we judge offensive success, and certainly not how we judge, what he's accomplishing. And, so Aiden's got a lot of jobs to do, outside of throwing the football, and he's executing our offense and managing our offense at a pretty high level right now. And love how that's built, and his ability to lead and put our team in positions to win football games. That group is rallying around him and getting exponentially better per week, and we've always known that's how we're going to have to do this.
On the outside, I'm interested that you're coming back after the game at Lamar. How much? What was there a conversation needed to be had, or just, hey, this is the progression we don't want to lose. We have to take some lumps. Can you, I guess, peel back what the conversation was like after the Lamar game before playing Northern Colorado?
It certainly wasn't acceptable in the building at all. Losing football games at South Dakota is not something that we're ever going to say is a necessary evil. We had every opportunity to win that game, and frankly, we had every opportunity to win that from a coaching perspective, from a playing perspective. But we knew that where our team was, that might be on the table, and how how do we as a how does our culture, how does our program look at that and move forward. It certainly was way more responsive than reactive. There's no panic in the building. I mean, it's, okay, now how do we handle this? And although it's not expected at all, there are a lot of things we needed to take forward and have put those into practice in a relatively quick fashion.
I have to ask the question you've probably been asked tons over the last 2 weeks. Where did LJ Phillips come from? And what kind of surprise? Has this been a surprise, what he's done over the last 2 weeks?
Oh, not one bit. LJ has been a really talented kid in our program for a couple years. We recruited LJ out of Wichita, Kansas a number of years ago, and a place where we'd taken quite a few kids and loved that area. And LJ had torn his ACL in high school, and he was so talented. We didn't flinch about that. He's such a great human being. He's been an unbelievable program guy. So he's kind of been in that hierarchy of backs we've had, with Travis and Charles, and LJ's always been that guy, and his role has increased. But we've always known he's that talented a player, especially in the systems that we run, and now he's just getting a heavy workload. And I think that's what you're hoping for in your program, right? Is that you got all positions like that ready to go, and we're working at getting there, at every position. But in that running back room, yeah, we always knew if LJ had to take carries, he was going to be a special one.
Is he comparable to the backs that Bison fans have seen, or is he different than the guys that you've had in the past, like Travis Tice or obviously Charles Pierre?
He's somewhere in between. He's a big back. He's got great vision. He can still make you miss in the perimeter and go through. He's a 215-pound back that can get downhill, and so he's somewhere in between. Charles, who's a slasher that can go hit a home run, and Travis, was going to get every single yard he ever wanted with toughness, and LJ is kind of that mix.
I got to ask, Travis, as you're going, I know you're in the submarine worried about your own team. As a head coach, you keeping an eye on what the other Valley teams have done so far and where things are at through the first 3 or 4 games, or is it too early to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you check scores, you see, I think kind of that. But as far as turning the tape on, unless it's crossed over, we crossed over with South Dakota State and Drake the other day. Not a ton. We've got to focus on what we're doing, and certainly see the scores and what people are doing versus opponents you can't really necessarily judge. So yeah, it's always the non-league in the Valley. It's everything's the greatest or the worst as we go, and then we all settle it here in the next few weeks.
I had to ask. I got you here with the portal decision. We may have one on moving to one right after the year in January. Where do you come down? I know you were there in the spring and saw what happened. I have to imagine you're not a huge fan of having it in the spring, but I'll ask you, where do you come down on it?
Yeah, I've always been in the camp of let's get this thing to one window and let's tighten it up as much as possible. Let's make sure that every team has the opportunity to retain their program and still give players the freedom to make the moves as they see fit. And so I'm a big proponent to the one window. I like the date. I know there's not going to be, the thing is, there's not going to be a date that was going to make everybody happy.
Correct.
Just wasn't. And so I do think, that window, even though it does affect, a small handful of teams and certainly could us, I'd rather have it there than a million other places or multiple windows or longer windows. So, I think everybody's probably in that camp of it being all right, except for maybe the top 10 teams in Power 4 football that would love it to be open all year.
As a coach, when you have a guy that maybe is considering it, can you give us the background conversation on that? Is that one where they come to you, there's a text, hey, coach, can you talk? Is that something like you get a feeling in the pit of your stomach like this may not be the conversation I want to have right now?
Last year was so different, I think, for every program because of what the market turned into with the house settlement coming in. So I don't think you can kind of judge what that looks like before or after. Our program, it's always been, our guys wanting to stay on the highest level, and then, all of a sudden, what the money turned into in the house settlement just became absolutely, really unbelievable. So, which kind of turned the tide in a lot of ways, in me personally. I won't get into specifics, but all those guys were staying, turning down, legitimate things to stay, and then it turned into a different beast because of the house settlement and guys unloading their collectives at kind of the end of that term. And so, moving forward, I think it'll be a little different. I think the guardrails are on it enough right now to, especially with the tight window for the top teams in the Valley to have a chance to stay away from that. But the conversations, are so limited.
Yeah, and it just gets crazier and crazier by the day on that. I'm excited for the fact that if they have it where they have it, in the portal window I'm talking, and it keeps it to, if it's 15 days, whatever it is, at least that, to me, it seemed totally unfair for the FCS teams, and I think we talked about this in July, that you're practicing, and then you don't know in the spring who's coming out to practice that day. I have to imagine that was bewildering for you as a coach.
Yeah, it was interesting. Our guys handled it great. It was all right. Well, we're going to coach the guys that are on this field.
Yeah.
It's just the way it's going to be. I know it's coach talk, but that's exactly what had to happen. But yeah, when you don't have, I think everybody's in the position of like your full team isn't together. What are you really developing, right? And you don't want to waste time, and players don't want to waste time being developed if they're headed somewhere else or vice versa. And that's not hasn't been commonplace here at all. And it's all of a sudden, our spring was a little bit different that way. But you want to, every period you're developing your team, you want it to be the team you're going to play with in the fall, right? So, when you're in the spring with kind of a shell of what it might look like, it's interesting. But you got your summer and your fall camp, and we've done a great job of really pushing down on that as a staff and doing that a little bit different. But and then the summer may change for us in FCS too, just in regards to what that practice might look like as well.
Just keeping our head on a swivel is all we can do with it, at least for us covered it. Last thing before I let you go, and I really appreciate the time this morning. For you as a head coach, what are you looking forward to being on the sideline Saturday, being in the environment of the Dome and coaching your first as a head coach out in Fargo?
Yeah, I don't know if there's something I'm specifically looking forward to more. I think it's such a great environment. Obviously, we got scheduled for homecoming, so it'll be a great crowd. And a lot like 23. It was last time we've been up there, and it's a great venue to play in Valley football. These are the games I think the Dakota games are always, what everybody looks forward to, and to open it up this way, I think it's a great way for the league to open up, and we're looking forward to getting up there and competing our tails off.
It's great to see you, bud. Thanks so much for making time for us here on this Wednesday. Safe travels up, and I'll see you on Saturday afternoon, okay?
You bet, Dom.
Thanks for the time. There he goes. Travis Johansen joining us, USD
care.
head football coach this morning. Coyotes and the Bison coming up Saturday at 1. Again, I mentioned the stat yesterday, and so for those that are watching our show, I'm going to hammer it home between now and Saturday at 1 o'clock. There are only 2 teams that have beaten NDSU 3 consecutive times in the regular season since the move to Division I. South Dakota State did it twice. The Jackrabbits did it from 2007 to 2009, and then from 2021 to 2023. And was a spring game thrown in there as well, so actually they won 4. And Northern Iowa did it from 2008 to 2010. That's it. In the Division I era, that's it. South Dakota has a chance to join that company if they're able to win on Saturday. And the 2 games, at least in the regular season, couldn't have been any different. Couldn't have been any different. The game in 23 up here, which I think gets glossed over considering the Bison beat them in the playoffs and then how the game in Grand Forks went. USD dominated the start of that game. The Bison just sleptwalked through that game. That is one of the those 2 games that year, the game against the Coyotes and the game in Grand Forks, I have no explanation for. I just don't. I cannot tell you how and why they came out and played that way they did. I mean, USD scored 2 long touchdowns from Bauman to Carter Bell, and you're sitting there like, what in the world is going on here? And then the game last year, we're going to talk more about this in a few minutes on Bison Media Zone. Again, USD got out to a hot start there. Bison were on their heels. Then something clicked in the second quarter. Bison got their momentum going. We know all about the 20-play, 98-yard drive, put the hammer down, put them up by 11, and then Coyotes caught lightning in a bottle and won the game. And again, you're walking out of the Dakota Dome that day thinking, what just happened? What did we see here? It was just bizarre, wild. And now you've got this game coming on Saturday with USD struggling out of the gates. I still really don't know how to evaluate them yet. Bison, I don't really know how good they are, considering the opponents they've beaten. I don't think are all that great. This is a really interesting game to start it for the Valley for both these schools. And if you missed it, we talked about this back in July regarding USD, and I'm sure their fans that watch or listen to our show fully aware. They play 12 straight weeks. Their bye comes at the end of the regular season. Like the The Bison are playing St. Thomas as a non-conference to end. Coyotes are going straight through. That is a lot of football. And, of course, the Bison are coming off a bye. I don't think you could underestimate that as well. Our thanks to Travis for giving us a few minutes there. We'll break. We come back. We'll wrap things up. Of course, we're getting out of here early for the Bison Media Zone, so we'll get you ready for a fun Sports Wednesday. We'll do that on the other side of the break. Hot Mike wraps after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com. All right, welcome back, everybody, as we're closing things out here. Bison Media Zone coming up in just a few minutes. Get you ready for the matchup on Saturday. Take a look at a couple other big games happening across FCS. It is a odd weekend for the Valley because everybody else is off outside of the Jacks and the Bison. South Dakota State has Mercyhurst. I'll give you we should have a prize for where do we think Mercyhurst is? I know where it's at. I'm supposed to know. But if Mercyhurst, where do we think that is? Any guesses on that? If you could have a variety of places where that would end up. But that's who the Jackrabbits have for their final non-conference game, and then it's on to league play, and then everybody jumps into the pool next Saturday. And there's, again, we talked about it off the top of the show on Monday with some of the results we had over the weekend. There's some other games now, Southern Illinois, which I think when the schedule came out or Bison fans saw the schedule, like Southern Illinois, Salukis look pretty good. Quarterback, awfully good. So that game suddenly looks better. The UND game was already going to be a important one, knowing that they're going to Grand Forks, but certainly the Fighting Hawks look better. That game is added. Youngstown might be a much better game than we initially thought because the Penguins are off to a nice start at 3-1. When you have 7 of the 10 teams ranked, probably says more about the FCS than it does the Valley, but that notwithstanding, that means you got some pretty good football teams playing in this conference like we've known forever. I had an email come in. We were talking with Johansen as I was saying about the Wolves jersey as we were doing our a uniform breakdown here that happens on the show, probably way too often for some that like it. Quoting what A-Rod said when they fully took ownership of the team in Vegas. A-Rod said, bringing back some of the history of the KG days is something that we're both very aware is important to our fan base. Fans love the trees. So you got the jersey. This is what the court is going to look like for certain Wolves games. That's pretty good. I'm on board with that. That is old school. Of 94 feet of classic parquet, it says, lined by trees. Wild. That does look pretty cool if they're going to go and do that. So, one other email before we go. Dom, I love the fact that baseball has finally decided to sign off on the ABS system. Can they expand it? That is probably the rabbit hole that they maybe not want to go down, they being baseball, but for other calls, they might decide to do that. We'll wait and see. I think they want to see how this works before they're ready to try anything else out. One last thing before we get to what to watch and get out of here. Mark Maskey, great reporter for the Washington Post. Roger Goodell was on CNBC this morning, the commissioner of the NFL, saying that the NFL could seek to begin renegotiating its broadcasting deals as soon as next year. Said, I think our partners want to sit down and talk to us at any time, and we continue to dialogue with them. I like that opportunity. Obviously, it's not going to happen this year, but it could happen as early as next year. That could happen. The NFL's broadcasting deals contain opt-out clauses, and many within the sport previously have said they expect the league to seek to rework those deals before the end of the decade, while also attempting to negotiate an 18-game regular season with the NFLPA. One source says, I do believe 18 games is coming and will happen. I'm not sure when. There's no doubt in my mind on the TV deals. So I believe they could opt out after 2029. NFL's looking to, obviously, the amount of money that would come for that is gargantuan. They want to jumpstart that as quick as possible. Something we'll be keeping our eyes on because that's a major deal there for television. All right, let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. What to Watch is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. We got some volleyball tonight, some good ones. Ranked game in the SEC, Mizzou and Texas A&M, 6 o'clock tonight on ESPN2. Number 1 ranked Nebraska is in action tonight as well. They take on Michigan, 6 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. And another biggie at Wrigley tonight, the Mets and the Cubs, 7 o'clock on ESPN. Cubs have already a wild card spot locked up. The Mets have a 1-game lead over the Reds and the Diamondbacks for the final wild card spot in the National League. We got to roll. Thanks to our guests today, to Drew Trafton, to Kyler Kudrna, and Travis Johansen. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. The Bison Media Zone is coming up. We'll see everybody back here tomorrow.